Wait to see if and hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Pumpkin Copter Cast, the only video game show. So yes, if you're listening to this when I think you are, it is October, which is Scurry season. Scurry spelled Skuri, and I've got two guests with me to talk about all things Halloween-ish.
Hello.
We've got a recurring guest, um, Grems the duck,
Hi.
and we've also got our other recurring guest, the theme park worker or the transmask duck. We got Carolyn.
Quack, quack. Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
How are you?
That's the nickname Tom and I gave you last time we were podcasting, just because of your love of the new duck Pokemon.
Transmask water duck is best duck, period, because he looks like Donald Duck, which is relevant to me, the theme park employee journalist, and he is also a transmask duck. So we love one they, them, he, him duck.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
And let's see. But, before we get into spooky things proper, it's time for a return from one of Carolyn's new favorite games, and I'm pretty sure, and it's time for me to subject Grems to this for the first time. It's time for Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Dark Souls.
Oh, no.
This is going to be good. This is going to be good, Grebs, I promise.
So, what do Yu-Gi-Oh! And Dark Souls have in common? Not much, but, most of the characters in both franchises sound like what happens if a Shakespeare actor had a nightmare while doing all the drugs.
Oh my God.
And and if you've played Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Dark Souls, you know I'm right. So yeah, we'll start with Grems because, this is my show. So Grems, we're gonna switch between you and Transmask Duck, and you're gonna guess if the monster I'm naming is from Yu-Gi-Oh! The beloved franchise that brought us the simple joy of card games on motorcycles, or Dark Souls. What if, Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones listened to some really weird music in high school?
My God.
Let's see.
I love the description.
Let's see. So, what's one that sounds like it could be from both of them?
Just imagining Deb's just pouring over lists.
Yep, it's still, yeah. You never run out of, ridiculous things with Yu-Gi-Oh! I'll start with, so Grems, Kai asked the Shadow Monarch, Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Dark Souls?
What was the name again? The Shadow Monarch?
Yeah, Kai asked the Shadow Monarch.
How do you spell that?
Let's see.
I'm not Googling it, I promise. I just...
Can you spell it? Can you use it in a sentence?
Can I phone a friend?
See, Caius.
Oh, that's mean. Well, having seen part of season 1 of the anime Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm gonna and having played very little of Dark Souls, I'm gonna guess it's a Dark Souls.
Wrong.
What?
It is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Monster because, if you just think about, like, I don't know, The thing about Yu-Gi-Oh is, if it's a genre that exists, then it's probably been turned into a card at some point. All right, now let's see, Carolyn, over to you.
I'm ready.
And I'm also including Bloodborne and Elden Ring bosses, since Bloodborne is British Dark Souls and Elden Ring is just, Dark Souls again. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, Grims. Say, oh, here's one that sounds like a dictionary throw up. Ebrietas, Daughter of the Cosmos. Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Dark Souls?
Wait, what? Is it me again? Or
Oh, it's Carolyn's
It's me,
turn.
it's me. Just give me that name, baby. I'm ready.
Let's say yours is Ebrietas, Daughter of the Cosmos.
Ebrietas, Daughter of the Cosmos. I just, based on the way that it sounds, based on what I know of the anime, based on what I know, I'm going to say Yu-Gi-Oh!
Wrong. It is actually a monster in Bloodborne.
Really? I am shooketh, because that sounds like something that you'd put in Yu-Gi-Oh! Wow. Okay, Deb stumped me.
Yeah, and the thing about, yeah, so I'll just include a picture to show I'm not a liar, because, unlike Dark Souls, most of the things in Bloodborne, some of the things in Bloodborne look like if Pasta had nightmares.
That's why dogs are great. You could just pet the dog and then the pasta won't be nightmarish.
Yeah, and let's see, Grims. Let's see, we'll do just 2 each so that, this is probably going to end up just being a long episode just because, let's see. So, Grims, Helios the Primordial Sun, Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Dark Souls?
That's my hubris. I'll go with confidence and say that is Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was Yu-Gi-Oh! I can only describe this card as, what if the sun was a tall lady? Yeah, let's see. All right, back to Carolyn.
Let's go. I'm gonna win this. I'm gonna take it back, Rams. I'm gonna take it back.
Let's see. Got, and we'll test your memory. Let's see. We got Yubel Terror Incarnate, Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Dark Souls. Yeah.
Deb, can you give it to me one more time?
Yubel Terror Incarnate.
I'm gonna go Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I told you I was bringing it back.
Yep, it's also a callback to, I think, the last episode Carolyn was in, where I just, rambled at them for what would, if it was like most other people, disconcerting amount of time about the character of Yubel and Yu-Gi-Oh! And how She's a non-binary intersex dragon person with a backstory so convoluted that it would physically hurt if I explained it to you.
But it's an amazing backstory.
Yeah. So yeah, there's one last one for Grimm's. So I'll just type in a random description. See what I get. So Grimm's, your last one is Doll Monster Bear Bear, Yu-Gi-Oh or Dark Souls.
I'm sorry. What?
Why not? Yeah. So Doll Monster Bear Bear.
Oh, I feel like you're throwing me a curveball. Are you trying to psych me out? Are you trying to? Now you're in my head. This is the true horror. I want to say Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's 50-50. And it's like, are you trying to trick me? I'm gonna say Dark Souls, just on the thought that.
Wrong. It's actually Yu-Gi-Oh.
I saw that coming. I thought that was Yu-Gi-Oh.
I thought it was Yu-Gi-Oh too, but then I doubted myself.
Yeah, because yeah, it's just essentially just a little teddy bear. Because there's like a set of cards that are basically like the sort of vaguely fancy dolls a person would have if they had one of those giant doll houses that's like taller than most children. And it's just adorable, and I think there's another card that kind of looks like Geppetto from Pinocchio, but who knows? So yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh is weird because just think of a genre and it exists. Because I'm pretty sure there's at least 2 months. There's at least two cards that are based vaguely on Chucky. And yeah, so anyway, now that I've subjected like these two to this asinine game I invented long enough.
It's not asinine. It's a lot of fun. Deb, don't read yourself.
Now we can move on to the actual reason why I'm here, talking about video games, what scared us, and it also invoked the spirit of Halloween. So, let's see. I'm gonna flip this giant ass novelty coin that I'm holding in my hand, and if it's heads, we'll talk about actual scary stuff first, and if it's tails, we'll talk about just like G-rated Halloween and like schlocky B-movie Halloween stuff first.
Okay, all right. I like this, folks. It's a beautiful coin. I can see it. It's beautiful.
The coin is from the Completionists Indieland fundraiser, which he uses to raise money for dementia research.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh wow.
It's actually happening again in November. I'm not a part of it, but dang it, if I was, I'd promote the hell out of it. Anyway, so I'm holding it in my hand, but I forgot what the result was, so I'm gonna flip it again. So we got heads, so we're gonna talk about stuff that actually scares us to start.
Okay. Are we talking about?
I mean, I guess I'll start because I got a game fresh in my mind, and it's one I know well and one that I know Grems knows well. So I guess I'm just starting an unofficial tradition where every year I play through at least one game in my what I like to call giant-headed children experience trauma collection.
Okay.
Which it's a term coined by Yahtzee Croshaw when he first reviewed the game Limbo way back when. And, it's kind of connected to Limbo because it is, the direct follow-up to Limbo made by Playdead Studios. We're talking about Inside.
Okay. I've never played this.
Oh, yeah.
So Limbo, like its predecessor, Limbo, was I think Playdead Studios like premier game, and it was made like back when the Xbox Live Arcade was like the king of where to get indie games. And you played as, this boy in a spooky forest, and, it only had black, white, and gray colors to work with, but it did it really well because most of the time there's very little sound except your own footsteps and things trying to murder you. And, they decided to, amp it up a little. And I
Okay.
remember you play as a boy running away from people what want to do him wrong, only it's 2.5D, so it act like it really, and you start the game in like a dingy forest that's so thick like none of the sunlight gets through, so all the colors are like extremely muted, and it really, and like Limbo, there's no text, no like spoken dialogue. Everything's told by like context clues as you progress through the game. This boy running away from people in like trucks, chasing them down with dogs or shooting at them, and you're not really sure why. And like Limbo, what you think is relatively simple gets more and more screwed up in the beginning. And like this is just where my head was at. But and like for the first chunk of the game when I played it, like I think almost 4 years ago now. I thought it was like just some really roundabout way about like I don't know, conveying the horrors of like a kid escaping from from a concentration camp.
Oh my
Uh,
god.
I don't think it is, but it's what I thought it was because you're a kid running around, and like also one of the only other sounds you can hear constantly is like the kid's labored breath as he's like running away from things trying to kill him. And I think it's because mostly like the colors are very muted, and the boy doesn't really have any color on him except like a red shirt. And there are people in these like big ass vans in all black, like chasing him down with dogs. And in this one part of the game, like where you get to what I can only describe as as some sort of factory from hell, you just see people just like marching in a line to who knows what, to their uncertain doom. And that's why I thought it was just like I don't know, some weird like analogy or something, just because like I don't know, it kind of reminds me of like back when when I was a naive 27 or 28-year-old still in college getting the book learnings done. There was like a movie in like my French cinema class about a kid hiding out in a boarding school because around like the Nazi times, and they eventually catch him and the teacher who is helping him, and they don't run away, and they just kind of just depressingly walk to their doom. And when you see the characters and inside just like walking into the factory, like they're either like mind controlled to just walk to whatever doom awaits them, or they've like I don't know, had the hope beaten out of them, which is you know I yeah, that's just what I thought.
Perturbing. I like it, but also very perturbing.
And like I remember watching Grems stream it, however long ago it was, because my concept of time is permanently screwed over. But yeah, I remember seeing like Grems like screaming what the fuck was going on as she saw the stuff what was unfolding. Not to spoil, because you should play it for yourself, because I think by now it's available on most things for like $20.
Yeah, it might be also on Game Pass.
So yeah, that's my first. Like it's just ugh. Like it does really good job with the 2D because it conveys like you're like literally a child like exploring these like huge factories that are like with rooms that are taller, that are bigger than most houses people own. And it like conveys,
Wow.
and most of the time you're either you're either like alone completely, or your company is filled with people that are actively trying to kill you right now. Because, it's made by the Play Dead people, and they know how to inflict trauma onto a video game child.
I have to look this up. I have to look this up. Inside, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
Which
busted.
is a very unfortunate name for a game to have, because it's like, I'm sure trying to find, unless you're very specific on Google, I'm sure. Oh, well, it's out now, and it's gotten some popularity, so maybe the algorithm's caught up by then. But I remember when it first came out, I was like trying to find information on it.
Huh. Okay. Well, I know I'm remembering Limbo when Debbie described it, so it's like, okay, now Inside by that same studio. Okay. No, I need something else that's like really gonna shock me this Halloween, because I've been playing a couple of things that I'm excited to talk about, but I am always open for spooky things. Ask Debbie and my love of Resident Evil.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
Speaking of Resident Evil, at the time of recording, it's only 4 more days until the story DLC for Resident Evil Village, otherwise known as the house Vampire Mom built.
We love Vampire Mom, and I am excited, I am nervous, but I am also very excited.
So, yeah, do either of you two have a spooky game you'd like to talk about next?
Oh, Grems can go first if they want. Grems, what are your pronouns? Just so I know.
She, they, either's
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
So, yeah, Grims, what sort of spooky game do you have?
Oh, well, you took the one I was thinking of.
Aw, damn it.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's not like I have flashcards, shuffles, and throws a stack off screen.
Nervously around.
But trying to think, because Inside was like the last game to like legitimately creep me out. There's Outer Wilds has some horror moments, but it's not a horror game necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I don't play a lot of like super scary games. I more play the kind of games that like crush your soul.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Different kind of fear. Different kind of fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all know. I have plenty of those, I bet.
Little Nightmares was one I played.
Oh, yeah, I just started playing that again to get myself in the spooky mood. Oh, I love that. So, Carolyn, have you ever played the Little Nightmares games?
I have seen them streamed. And it is very, very perturbing. And I keep trying to figure out if it's true that, like, are they dead? Was it a disease that made them all like this? Like, I just trying to figure it out. Is the lore is what fascinates me. But I have not actually played them. Sometimes a good stream, though, is like getting that same spook factor. So I see where y'all are going with it, because the little yellow raincoat kid freaks me out.
6. That's the name.
6.
Because of course it is. And yep, I think that was like one of the first like actually scary games I ever dipped my toe into, because I remember I think back when it was on like a Nintendo Direct and they were advertising, because the version they ported was the one with with the DLC already on it, which adds even more scariness to it. And yeah, it's kind of like Limbo, in the sense that it's a giant-headed child that's just trying to make it in this scary world of ours. Only this one's a 3D puzzle platformer, which I don't know, makes it kind of even scarier. And like all the characters look like they used to be puppets from Neil Gaiman's cinematic adaptation of his movie Coraline.
Yep. Oh, yep.
And
Definitely
then
Henry Selick. Mm-hmm.
And then in the beginning of last year, Little Nightmares 2 came out, and that was my game of the year of last year. And it was also just friggin' scary because, you know, they hit the ground running with the first one and they only improved on it. And there's also the ever popular, like, something I almost forgot about until I started replaying it, is that when you're hiding from one of, like, the giant, weird, gross people that look like puppets from hell, even if they can't see you, like if they're physically close to your character, like the music kind of just fades into the background and it's replaced by your character's terrifying heartbeat.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
just
Yep. Yep.
adds to it, like, ugh. And unlike like Limbo or Inside, you're given just enough context. You're given some context, but like not enough, and I can see why Grems would play it. And also last year, I also like something I didn't figure out until like I realized that my phone can play games on it now. Is there's actually like another like a smart device exclusive installment in this series, Very Little Nightmares. It's just set in the same general like horrifying world, only you, like navigate with touchscreen controls.
Oh, is it like an AR thing or is it like
No, it's kind of like Little Nightmares, only you solve the puzzles like through touchscreeny stuff, and you move around with the touchscreen. And
interesting?
yeah, so have you played through Little Nightmares 1 or 2 yet, Grems?
I played through and streamed the first. I have not without the DLC. Because it ended up being like a free game.
Mm-hmm.
I have not played the second yet. I did see part of it streamed. But I didn't see the full enchilada.
Mm-hmm.
I might go to it, but it's not it. I think I might go to it someday, but it's like not really something on my radar right this second.
I mean, if you think he'll scare you, you're right.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Let's see. Carolyn, do you have any?
Oh yeah, so I discovered this great game where it's a haunted pizzeria and there's animatronics.
Oh, no.
I would do that to poor
Oh,
Dad.
dear.
Actually,
And then...
that still broke my heart. I'm not even. That's the scariest part. Finding out that the guy who played one of the games that created one of the games that defined your childhood is a fucking Republican.
Yeah,
But I have a game. It's been a lot of people have been streaming it, but I have finally got it, and I'm looking forward to playing it because every time I watch people stream it, it scares the hell out of me. And that is Chiller Rat: The Bathhouse. Now, have either of y'all seen Chiller Arts Studios series of things? They have the Night Shift and the Caretaker and the Bathhouse. Have either of you guys heard of these? These are amazing.
I have
The
not.
Night Shift. That sounds familiar.
So basically, you play in all of these things. They're a Japanese studio, and you play as these people who are like working overnight, or they're in jobs that are like, they're in these shitty dead end jobs, and there's like a mystery to solve, or there's something going on, and you have to do things like the Night Shift. I think it's called the Night Shift. You play as a barista who works the closing shift at a Chinchilla Rat's coffee shop.
Oh yeah.
Looking at it,
I've seen it. I've seen
It's
somebody stream it. It's pretty great.
so scary. Oh my god. So basically you have and there's just like the way that they use, because the games all have a very specific style. So you have shadows on the wall, and all of the humans are like very poorly defined, and the story is really creepy. But the bathhouse has two things that scare scare the poop out of me. Two things that are guaranteed to freak me out. Because I'll be honest with you, FNAF does not scare me anymore. And it really never has. I'm not one of those people with like autonomophobia or whatever, where things that look like people scare you, but they're not people. That's never bothered me. A lot of people are really twisted about it. No, what bothers me is when there's the ghost or whatever, and the ghost is standing in the corner and just staring at you. And it's because that thing is so unafraid. It knows that you can't hurt it, that it's not even going to bother to hide. It's just going to stare at you, and then it's going to take you out. And you're like, oh God, okay. So in the bathhouse, you play as this woman who's left. I forget what her name is, but you play as this woman who's left this major company, and she's really depressed and she wants to get away for a change. So she moves to this village. And in the village, she gets a job working at the bathhouse. Now, the bathhouse, you can work at the bathhouse for free, or you can work at the bathhouse and you get your rent for free. So you go down and you play as this bathhouse worker, and slowly but surely, very creepy things start to happen. You go down this trail, and there's a monk, and the monk offers you a chance to, says that there's an evil spirit that's following you, and you have to pay him for protection from the evil spirit. And you go into the bathhouse, and after you've finished your evening chores, you go and you take a bath, and you start to see visions, and you hear things, and you start to see, and the people who go into the bathhouse complain about things that they see in the sauna or things that they see in the water. And one day you go in, and there is a shadow on the wall next to the sauna of a girl. And and no matter how hard you try and scrub it, the shadow will not go away. And it just sits there as this little tiny shadow just staring at you the whole time that you're naked in the bathhouse doing this. And I mean, and it starts right away, because when you move into your apartment, there's a hole in the wall, and there's hair growing through the hole in the wall. Like, it's a really unnerving, very cool, very spooky, good for Halloween game. But I've seen it, and I'm not going to spoil it, because you really do have to play it, or you can watch, like, most of the major streamers are streaming. You really do have to play it, or most of the major streamers are streaming it. But Chilla Art Studios is just like, they're doing some really scary stuff with horror. Like this game in particular, this game genuinely scares. It's got a very Sadako, Kayako, The Ring, The Grudge vibe to it, and I absolutely adore it. So that's my spooky game. That's my spooky game. I could mention very easily Resident Evil. I could mention, if we want to go along the lines of FNAF, or if we want to go along the lines of other analog horror games, I'm a big fan of Andy's Apple Farm, which is another analog horror point and click game. But my big one, what I am watching being streamed and what I'm trying to play this year is Chilla Arts, Night Shift Caretaker, and the Bathhouse, because you can, like, it's just genuinely spooky, and they're doing some great stuff. So yeah.
Okay. That'll do it.
Again, like, it's just if you like it, for somebody who works is like a lower, in like a very blue collar job that's like those kinds of jobs, like I've been there. I've been at the night shift. I've closed down the restaurant. I've had to deal with creepers across the street who are watching me. Like, it's just the horror, making it into a game, so good. So good.
Yeah, so I mean, going on to Resident Evil, I guess, like, I recently, played through, let's say, the remake of Resident Evil 3,
Yay!
where you play as Jill Valentine, the girl what was almost a sandwich. And, between, like, that game and now, she's basically become, like Sigourney Weaver, but with slightly less curly hair. And, yeah, that game was, like, scary, because, from the word go, the Nemesis shows up, and he's just, like, trying to, like, cave your entire head in. You're just trying to run from him, and you're trying to start the car to hit him, but he's, like, just tearing through everything like it's nothing. And on top of having to avoid getting killed by that guy, you have to deal with the regular zombies. And I played through it really quick. I surprisingly beat it really quick because I guess I'm getting good at these. But yeah, it's still just scary, especially since, them zombos don't really make sounds until they're already almost taking a bite of your entire face off.
Ugh.
Yeah, and I remember there's some that really did shock me. There's one part, like, late-ish into the game where, a particularly weird-looking zombie shows up, tries to bite you. Have my shotgun, because when I play games like these, I hoard all the ammo I can. So I'll be literally armed to the teeth, and then, just shotgun blast them, which usually says bye-bye to the zombies, and then it got up again.
So, have you ever played Resident Evil 0, Debs?
I have not.
Okay. Resident Evil 0, I decree, must be your next game. And I will tell you why. Number one, because I could see you really liking Rebecca Chambers, and she is the star Alpha Team medic. Because I don't know, I just get very Rebecca Chambers vibes. But you were mentioning strange things that happen with zombies. For the longest time, there was a glitch in 0, and this is the prequel. This isn't the prequel because the prequel turns out is Resident Evil Village. But this is a prequel to the events of the main game, and you start on a train. And the thing about the train is, for the longest time, there was a glitch with one of the zombies, and the only way to take the zombie out was to shoot it in the crotch with a shotgun. I'm not even playing.
Sorry, what did you say?
Oh, the only so the Resident Evil games are famous for glitches.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with this glitch with 0 was that you start on a train. Okay, so it's you and it's this convict named Billy, and there's a whole reason why you're on the train, and you're trying to make sure that Billy doesn't hurt you, because you give off real Rebecca Chambers vibes to me. I don't know if I'm wrong about that, but you just do because she's very sweet, and she's just like trying to help people, and she's just big Rebecca Chambers vibes. But you're on the train, and you're playing as either her or you're playing as Billy, and there were zombies, and when you said shotgun blast to the face, all I could think of was there was one zombie in particular, and it was a glitch, and I think they had to patch it, because the only way that you could get that you could get this particular zombie to go down was to shoot him in the cojones and in the nuts with a shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
Only way he would go down.
Brings me back to my days first playing Bulletstorm.
I mean, it's just nothing. There was no greater pleasure than just once you figured it out, because literally you would hit him in the head, hit him in the head, hit him in the head. You'd blast off his face with a shotgun. He still came at you. The only way to get this guy to go down was to shoot him where it hurt. And I was like, and it blew my mind. And I'm going, okay, but in all sincerity, my jokes about zombies aside, I do think you'd like Rebecca Chambers. So I definitely think that Resident Evil 0 is a game you should seek out.
Yeah. Have you ever played any of them Resident Evils, Grems?
I have not. I've watched them streamed, but I have not actually played a Resident Evil game.
What? You gotta. They're fun. Right, Debs? They're fun.
Yeah. Yep, they're fun until they scare you so much that you can literally taste the adrenaline in the back of your mouth, like I did when I first played through when I finally beat Resident Evil 7 for the first time last year. Oh golly, that got me. And yep, and then there are like big chunks of Resident Evil Village that friggin' scared me, even though it does have, you know, Vampire Mom and Magnet Man who talks like Nicolas Cage. And let's see. And actually, I think the beginning of this year, like one of the first games like I played was Resident Evil Village, just because I didn't like technically get a chance to play it when it first came out, and boy howdy was that scary. I mean, like, even the opening scene was pretty friggin' terrifying, even though you get a gun pretty quickly, and you can just, like, I don't know, if you play the game like I do, get right to shooting werewolves in the dick.
Right to shoot. See, this is a Resident Evil tradition.
You
This is
shoot,
a Resident Evil tradition.
you shoot the scary things in the dick, or where one would be had the thing have one. Or at least that's how I play most shooty games.
But
uh,
I haven't played Resident Evil, but I own Resident Evil 4. I might throw it on the list
oh yeah,
of
I mean,
stuff with which to play.
it is a pretty good one, and the remake is coming out in like a little over, I think, like 4 months at time of me saying these words. And apparently they made like the scary farm people even scarier and farmier. So I'm sure I'm gonna be looking forward to that. So yeah, let's see. Any other scary games on my list of scary games? I mean, I guess we can pivot a little bit from like straight up scary games, because I really haven't played that many, to like real schlocky scary games, or like in the case of the game I'm talking about, the game in which you are the horror, and I'm talking about, Doom Eternal, also known
Okay.
as like the adventures of Isabel's husband, Doom Guy, because it's Doom 2016, that was great, and because like throughout that game and Eternal, there's a lot of just like little pamphlets of information you can like take out that shows like how like literally all of the demons everywhere are utterly terrified of the Doom Slayer, because he just won't friggin' die, and he's like broken to hell to kill all the demons, so they sent a demon that's like the size of a shadow of the Colossus monster to kill him, and then he killed that, and now its bones are like decorating a part of hell that you get to at one point in the first Doom game. And yeah, and I remember like in the first trailers and for Doom Eternal, because there's like actually NPCs in it, that the Doom Eternal like breaks into the human resistance space because they brought hell to Earth because they thought it would be a good energy source, because no one's ever watched any movie ever. They try and be like, "Hey, you can't come in here." And then they're like, Then they clearly see it's the Doom Guy, and then everyone gets out of the way. And like, there's this one scene where he just walks up to two armed guards, and then they try and stop him, and then he just stares at him and takes the gun of one of the guards, and it's awesome. And yeah, let's. But if we're talking about like really schlocky B movie stuff, I got an example that is near and dear to my heart. A game I played, oh gosh, for the first time when I was like just a recent high school graduate back in the 2010s. I'm talking about Splatterhouse.
Okay.
I first heard of this game back when Derek Alexander was still doing reviews as the Happy Video Game Nerd, and he talked about this, and it's like it's a reboot of the Splatterhouse games, which I think were back in like the Sega Saturn days, and it plays, and like a lot of horror movies that Grems and I watch in our Discord group, sometimes whether we like to or not, and Grems knows what I'm talking about.
Okay.
It starts with, this friggin' nerd, Rick, and his girlfriend, and they're like visiting this the alleged mansion of, his girlfriend's university professor. And it's just, like any mansion in any horror movie ever. It's all dingy and has weird stuff in it. And then, the professor shows up, and so do monsters that look like they're made out of muscle tissue and nothing else. And, the scary scientist man, kidnaps Rick's girlfriend, and the monster, punches Rick in the stomach so hard that literally all of his guts spill out. Then he ends up knocking over, I don't know, an Iron Maiden, I guess. I don't know. It's been a while since I played the game. And he ends up, and like a weird ass mask just ends up falling into his lap, voiced by Jim Cummings. And he says that, he can give Rick the power to rescue his girlfriend. And so he puts it on and he turns into a big, strong Hulk boy. And, he just, it's 2010, so we weren't, all of our senses weren't assaulted by all of the graphics that we have today. But, you don't just, beat up, scary demon monsters in the game. You, literally beat them into a bloody pulp. There are actual puzzles in the game, which you get by, I don't know, impaling certain monsters on certain things in a certain way. And it's just, real, the graphics are 2010 times, but, when your character gets hit, you, see, he loses, chunks of muscle and skin, and you can, see his, you can, see bits and pieces of his skeleton until you find out the healing move. And apparently it does a lot of pretty faithful callbacks to the original Splatterhouse games with some of the weapons and certain enemies in the game. I don't know, a cyborg gorilla, or I don't know, some sort of weird demon doll thing that, fights you by forming some sort of giant monster out of all the junk in the mansion. And if you and yeah. And also when you're just walking from fight A to fight B throughout the game, this friggin' nerd Rick is just talking to the mask, who's voiced by Jim Cummings, also known as Winnie the Pooh, another employee of the mouse. And just Jim Cummings does a really good job of a guy that I don't know, some sort of weird magic thing that actually does want to help Rick get his girlfriend back, but is also just encouraging him to just enjoy all the brutal murder what he's doing. And yeah, just if you do it's on, pretty sure it's on the 360 and the PS3. Not sure how difficult it is to get one now, because I somehow still have my copy. But yeah, it's just again, if you like those B movies that are just extra bloody, and anytime someone dies, I see chunks of them. It's really cool. You get I don't know, genuinely because this is in the Dead Space days. You get audio logs about the mad scientist who's talking about how he's like passing the time because he has to wait several hundred years for his evil plan to happen.
True.
Yeah, you can spend the more enemies you beat up, the more points you get. You can spend on upgrades to beat people up in a surprisingly surprisingly creative for the time amount of ways. And because this is a schlocky B movie, another one of the collectibles is just, because, the people who made Splatterhouse knew who their audience was. Like, one of the collectibles is, like, various nudes of your girlfriend that the two of you took because couples bonding. And, it wouldn't be a B movie without, at least some gratuitous nudity.
Of course not.
Yeah, and it's like, if you do play it, just, it is quite a bit glitchy. There's like certain parts where you can just like fall through bits of the level and die, but from what I remember playing only at very specific parts, and the load times are long. I think especially for like even for the time it was back then, but it's just like, I don't know. I really enjoyed it, and if you want to scratch your B movie itch, you can do that. And it comes with like one of the best like beating the game bonuses ever, because like the reboot of Splatterhouse also comes with like the three original Splatterhouse games for like the Sega Saturn or Genesis or whatever it originally came out in. So you can enjoy some like 2D like gory monster butchering goodness. Like after you play through like the reboot game at least through all the way through at least once, and I thought that was cool, even though I'm bad at those games. So yeah. So either of you two get any like, I don't know, B movie or just like Halloween style games to bring up?
Ooh. I don't know. Grams, you want to go first or shall I?
I don't mind either way. I was gonna bring up Dead Rising,
Oh yeah.
which they went in a more serious tone, but we're not gonna talk about the later games. We don't have to. We can just pretend they don't exist. But
okay, let me pretend for a second. The game sounds familiar, but I don't know what it's about.
Like the first game you play is, I think, Frank West, the photographer trying to figure out why zombies are happening at a mall. And it's like kind of sandboxy where you can just like get weird weapons and combine them into weird stuff, but you're also on a timer. And a lot of people are like, well, you can't just spend the time killing zombies and using weird weapons if you're on a timer. And that's about all I know.
Huh, okay. I'm sorry I interrupted you. I was just like,
oh no, you're fine. You basically you're in a giant sandbox. There's zombies, and stuff happens based on, because basically, I don't remember if all the Dead Rising games follow this formula. I don't know about the fourth, but basically, you have a certain amount of time before the military shows up to get rid of all the zombies in traditional fashion. And you can make this 6 foot something buff dude chainsaw zombies in a nightgown, and I love that.
I love that too. That's fantastic. So wait, he's a photographer and he chainsaws zombies in a nightgown?
Well, you can wear all sorts of outfits.
Okay.
It's a Capcom franchise.
Anything that qualifies as clothes you can like wear. There's like those little Lego buddies from the Marvel vs. Capcom games. You can wear like a giant hat. I remember when the completionist did a video on it, he mentioned that like one of the things he found was like a Mega Buster.
Yeah, my favorite is the second one. I haven't really played the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But the second one is like this biker, like stunt biker Chuck Green.
Okay.
And he's cooped up in this like Las Vegas style hellhole. And he keeps having to find, because of course there had to be some sort of medicine to stop zombification. And of course it's exorbitantly expensive, called Zombrex.
I don't know, not referencing anything in the real world.
Nope.
Yeah, it doesn't sound familiar at all.
No, exactly. I don't know where they got it, but basically you have to do quests and stuff and also find enough Zombrex for the daughter. And it's like, it's not like super scary. I wouldn't call it like as scary as like Resident Evil, because it's kind of, especially if you do the co-op. Off the Record, which is like kind of the remake where you play as, I think, Frank West, and it's like, because I think the fan base threw a fit or whatever, as they tend to do, and basically they remade the game.
We love that.
Well, not remade, but like
modded.
Yeah. And Chuck Green becomes a boss, and it's a lot. It's harder, and it's also a lot more schlocky. There's the main thing you need to know is that they added a place called Uranus Zone.
Yeah.
And it's about as sophisticated as it gets.
I still respect it immensely. I too would go to Uranus Zone, but if I wanted to make a joke, that's either gonna be a terrible place, or I can't. I'm sorry. It's been a long day, folks. It's been a long day, but that's very funny.
Yeah. Let's say. Game. Oh, sorry. You go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, do you want my? Well, I don't know. Let's see. I have this great game. It's about a pizzeria. No,
Oh, no.
It's about a pizzeria. No, game. Okay. There's two that I think of when I think of like schlocky Halloween splatterfest games. Number one. Well, okay. There's a cute one, and then there's the regular one, and this is gonna sound weird because it's not necessarily a Halloween pick, but I do have a scary story about it, and that game is BioShock.
Yeah. I was. BioShock scared me a lot when I first played it.
So I was living with a friend of mine at the time, and we were sharing a room space, and I was awake and she was asleep. And I was playing BioShock, and there's those guys, the Houdinis. So there's all these, all the different mobs, and there's the Houdini guys that just kind of appear and reappear because they've all OD'd on Adam or whatever. And it was like maybe 1 or 2 in the morning, and I was just quietly playing this game, and I turn around, and there's this shadow of one of the freaking Houdinis, and I scream so loudly that my friend wakes up, and she's like, what happened? What's going on? What? And I'm just like, no, it was the game. And she gets up, turns off the TV, turns off the thing, and just stomps back to bed and passes out without saying a word. It was the funniest thing in the world. But BioShock always used to unnerve me because it was like, you're dealing with the powerful themes of addiction, and you're dealing with the powerful themes of like, people who, so you have all of that. That's very scary. And then this was going to sound kind of unnerving because it's not that it's like scary. It's more that it's like intense, and it's surprisingly deep and also dark. And that game is Cult of the Lamb.
Oh yeah.
Cult of the Lamb is surprising. You wouldn't think that a satanic version of Animal Crossing would be deep. Or would you?
Animal Crossing already has Tom Nook in it.
Okay, but that's capitalism, though. That's a different sort of.
Yeah, but that's the scariest thing of all, because we all live with it.
Ah, that's true. Don't remind me of that. Don't remind me of that. We were. Oh, wait. Okay. So you want to? Is anybody here? Anybody here getting the Halloween buckets from McDonald's?
I did not know those were a thing. Maybe. Maybe no.
Debbie, my friend, they have the Halloween buckets from McDonald's. The pumpkin, the witch, the ghost. They're back in stock. You can go back and live your millennial dreams. And they're. I'm not even playing. Like
No,
so
I've seen them. I was like, that looks familiar. And now that you mention it, it's like, oh no, they took the shovel and brought out some more stuff from my childhood.
And they have the stickers in it and everything. And it's upsetting because I'm just waiting for them to re-release the McNugget buddies, those little McNuggets that were dressed in costumes, and for kids to be like, oh, these are neat, and for me to like truly, go and request my AARP card because I'll be that old. What are they? They're the McNugget buddies. Fetus, stop yelling about the McNugget buddies and take your Happy Meal pail. But capitalism and the Happy Meal pails. Okay, so I was in line to get a Happy Meal pail, and I was in line to get a Happy Meal pail, and we waited something like 25 minutes in the drive-through lane to get our Happy Meal pails. And I look out and I see these big burly men carrying armfuls of Happy Meal pails out to these cars with these little old grizzled tiny white-haired ladies that are just like selecting these buckets. And I'm going, that's capitalism. That's end stage capitalism right there. When you have a big burly man wading into McDonald's so that you can get buckets for your grandkids that look like witches. I mean, that to me was just, that's how we teach them. That's how we teach them is we teach them with popcorn, with buckets, McDonald's buckets and Happy Meal toys, that trading and bartering and sales are essential. Use the scariest game this year, Disney Dreamlight Valley. That's the scariest game. Full stop. But yeah, so that's my Halloween bucket story. Tom Nook truly is the evil one.
Yep, and let's see. A game I probably should get since apparently it's been out for a while. It'll be out almost a week before my birthday, which is next month. We got, I don't know, apparently a lot of people were surprised when they announced some Doctor Who games coming to the Switch. I guess they were originally like games that were exclusive to phones.
What?
And now they just ported them to the Switch, and you're assisted by everyone's favorite madman / woman with the box. And it's at separate points you're assisted by, the 10th Doctor and the 13th Doctor, who the world has recently said goodbye to if you're watching this at the time I think you are. And, I don't know, we'll see you in a year, Shooty Gatwa as number 14. Anyway, like one of the games is called, The Lonely Assassins, where you help, Osgood, one of the people what works at Unit, the place the Doctor used to work at and in the 70s or 80s, because they never like properly dated those episodes back in the day. Anyway, and you have to investigate like a mystery involving one of the scariest the scariest monsters in like the Doctor Who like pantheon, the Weeping Angels. Have either of you two ever heard about these like scary bastards?
Yes.
Yeah, so they first appeared in like the 10th Doctor episode Blink, and they immediately became one of as almost as iconic as the Daleks or the Cybermen. And for Grems, if you don't know, I don't know, I don't know. They work on the principle of the I don't know, the robot animal game that Carolyn and I will never speak the game developer of again. They're statue. They look like, I don't know, the sort of statues you'd see in a cemetery.
Oh yeah.
But only when you're looking at them.
Mhm.
The minute you take, and we don't know. So you blink or look away, or your ability to see things is impeded. They can move real fast, and they'll either send you back in time because that's how they feed, because this is Doctor Who and stuff works in weird ways. And or this reminds me of a 11th Doctor episode where they found a better way to get food, and whenever they catch up to someone, they just break their neck, and you can actually hear a crunch sound.
Ugh.
And I'm not sure if this will be in the game, but just to scare you two even more, in Matt Smith's final season as the Doctor, he goes up against the Weeping Angels again, and then we see something even more scary than Weeping Angels. Baby Weeping Angels. They look like little cherub babies that you see in weird gardens. Only when you're not looking at them, you can actually hear them giggling, which is terrifying. And their horrible little footsteps. So I'm not sure if the baby ones will be in this Doctor Who game, but I'm willing to bet it'll still be scary because it's the freaking Weeping Angels. Yeah. So I'm excited for that, but to drastically change the mood I just set, games I really gotta buy again on a different platform than maybe on the computer where it'll just stay there without my Xbox Live account literally being deleted for no reason. But anyway, again, back in the day when the Xbox Live Arcade was king, Double Fine just decided to prove that why they're some of the best in the business. We got Costume Quest.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, a very light RPG where you play as either Ren or Reynold, trick or treating, and then whichever one you play as, the other one gets kidnapped by monsters that are mugging the entire town of their candy. And in this game, when whatever costume you're wearing is what you turn into in the RPG fights. You get a robot costume, you turn into I don't know, a freaking Power Rangers looking mech. You can become a knight, all sorts of a pirate. And compared to other RPGs, it's pretty simple. I mean, each costume you equipped to each character can only do a set amount of things, but you get these creepy treat cards to give yourself awesome abilities. And Double Fine's really just comedic writing makes it hilarious because I don't know, it just brings back good memories of when I was just walking around town trick or treating. And just it's really just hilarious, and just I don't know. It's one of the best Halloween games to play because it takes place in Halloween and it captures the spirit of just going out with friends, even though you have a quest to defeat some monsters and collect candy, which is used as currency between all the kids because this works on Craig of the Creek rules.
Mm-hmm.
And and then a few years later, they announced a sequel. They announced Costume Quest 2, which is also a delight. And I'm not telling you what happens in that one because it's best to find out. And I guess some years down the line, Like they actually made like a limited edition animated series, like a
Oh my
cartoon
god,
of
really?
it on Amazon, and yeah, it's freaking awesome. Um, yeah, and yeah, costume. If you want a game that captures like the feel, because like part of the game is that when you go from town to town or like the mall, or sometimes you'll like, in addition to like the side quests you do, like you want to find all the monsters or like clear all the houses of candy to get the plot moving. You got to trick or treat, and that's fun. Like it's just really nice. Like the kid characters are hilarious. Monsters are also pretty funny, and it kind of reminds me of way back in the day when Cartoon Network had these like really extensive, elaborate flash games. And one of them was like you trick or treating like in a neighborhood, but you're also just like walking around and talking to the Cartoon Network characters. And it reminds me of that. And I love those games.
I need to play the second one. I played the first, or if I voiced over like co-opted it with somebody. But I haven't played the second yet.
And oh geez, there's a sale on them for right now on Steam where like the first one is like $2.49. And I think the other one is, hold on, let's confirm. The other one is like $5, or there's a bundle for both of them on Steam where you can get both games for $5. And if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna buy it right now as we're talking.
As you should. Hell, I'm gonna look that up.
They're good. So yeah, let's see.
If I may offer a suggestion.
Yeah, go ahead.
Another one. So if you want to be the horror, you can go the cutesy route. Haunt the House Terror Town is a cute little game where you play as a ghost and you haunt stuff, and it's really cute.
Haunted House.
Oh, that is cute.
Oh,
Okay, so
I think I remember this.
And then if you want to be the monster and it's an icky Halloweeny gore fest, Carry On.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
what's Carry On?
It's
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. You can go ahead.
Carry On is where you play as like this, I guess, alien life form.
Ooh, okay.
And you're basically a little ball of like tentacles, and you just go around just like murdering scientists and stuff like that.
So you're a homicidal Tangela.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
It's like
You're a homicidal Tangela.
It's like in John Carpenter. It's like in The Thing, but only the parts of The Thing where the thing isn't disguising itself and is like some sort of horrible blob monster.
I'm into it. I like that thought. You just triggered a memory of something that like was actually really, I don't know. The only thing I can think of for no. I remember what I was going to talk about. If you want to, okay, so we have the game that's, I have to look it up really quick. We have the game that okay, we have, you can play the monster. Spirit. Spirit. How do you spell spirit? SPRIT. There is a game. Cozy Grove? Yes, it is. Okay, Cozy Grove. So you have the game where you can play as a you have the game where you can play as the ghost. You have the game where you can play as the monster. If you want a game where you can save the ghosts, play Cozy Grove, because it is a game where you're a spirit scout and you are on an island and your whole goal is to save giant ghost bears and build it's Animal Crossing with ghost bears. So we have satanic Animal Crossing with baby goats and demonic possession. We have Animal Crossing with ghost bears, and then we have the most terrifying of all, Animal Crossing, the regular, with capitalism. So that's my contribution to that discussion was Cozy Grove. Cozy Grove is a very cute game.
Okay, and like if you want to like a franchise I think of that's equal parts like silly, hello, like actually scary as, one of my favorite something that's become one of my favorite things ever, the Luigi's Mansion games. Because
Yes.
I remember playing the first one back in the day, and that was pretty scary. Because in the first one, like back before they settled into like how the game was going to look, and play in the future installments, you're in this huge mansion, and like when you're exploring a place that hasn't been like cleared of ghosts, or like a dark corridor, like the theme music plays like played by a dark organ, and like Luigi's just humming along, and whenever you're in a room that's full of ghosts you need to get rid of, like the music stops, it's like pitch black in the game, and you just hear the ghosts making those weird ghosty sounds, and like it's pretty terrifying. Well, I don't know, for a Nintendo game like that, because you're exploring the mansion. Uh, I'm pretty and most of well, the boss, as far as we know, used to be people. So like the first area of the game, you capture like a dad, a mom, and then a baby ghost, and then it turns out the baby ghost is the scariest, which takes you to the first boss battle, and it takes you to this like weird ghost dimension where it just like, I don't know, tries to kill you by throwing baby stuff at it. And it's just full of this like weird stuff, like you find out like partway through the game that King Boo is behind it all and he kidnapped Mario, which, it's Mario, that's kind of a big deal. And let's see. I mean, there's this like, I don't know, there's this one optional ghost you can capture if you want like extra money. That, like, I don't know, some of the ghosts have like, I don't know, entries you can find somewhere. And one of this, you find a ghost just like snacking away in like the kitchen area, and he looks like, I don't know, Mr. Creost from that one like Monty Python sketch. And it just says something really creepy, like, he ate so much he ate himself to death, and now he's like spending his ghost afterlife eating all the food he never ate in life. And like that's terrifying, and like it never really lets up. And I don't know, something I noticed as I played through like the first, second, and third one is that like throughout the game you can like see the trajectory of like King Boo just like losing his mind just a bit more as Luigi keeps thwarting his plans. Because in the first one he's like, "Heh, you want to stop my evil plan, you weirdo." And then in the second game where he escapes and he like meets up with Luigi again, he's be like, "Hey buddy, you remember how you imprisoned me in the like that magic painting? Good times, but I got out." And then at the beginning of the third game, like he's at like the scariest he's ever was, and just like straight up tries to kill Luigi straight away. And like it's just weird because it's weird seeing him go from like happy evil to like like genuinely looks like he's gonna eat you. So yeah, the Luigi's Mansion games are great. Like the first one it's kind of Resident Evil-y in the sense that you're just exploring the rooms of this like giant mansion throughout the whole game, and you get keys to get to other areas, to get more keys to unlock everything so you can get everywhere. And the second game on the 3DS is interesting because it does that in the beginning, but you play through like 5 different mansions, and they're all like different horror archetypes. There's like the regular mansion at the beginning. There's like the quote unquote mansion that's like an abandoned mine. There's a quote unquote mansion that's like in the middle of like an icy valley where like everything's frozen. And like it's a little bit less scary than the first one, but like I don't know, really I think it makes up for it just because something the Luigi's Mansion games do really well is like, well, you're exploring the spooky place. It makes it feel like a house that's put together sensibly. Like you're in the foyer, and then you go upstairs to get to the family rooms, and then the kitchen's downstairs and down like the long hallway, and then there's the servants' quarters and all that, and Luigi's Mansion 3, I think, is a complaint in the second one was that like it's mission based, and that between each missions you're like yanked back to the hub to like go over what happened, unlike like the unlike the first one where you could just as soon as you beat one section you can go right to the next section, and you're playing in a haunted and in the third one, you're in like a haunted hotel that Luigi and friends are lured into, and everyone except Luigi gets captured again because Luigi watched the Ghostbusters movies. He knows what to do, and you explore different floors by acquiring the elevator buttons from the bosses, and like the route. And I like they apply TARDIS rules to it, in which even though it's like a conventionally designed mansion from the outside, you can't really like everything. Like there's an entire music hall, a movie theater, a shopping mall. The sort of things where scary things happen. And like I love those games, and also from the second one onward, Luigi gets a pet ghost dog, which is adorable. Guess what the ghost dog's called?
What?
Polterpup.
That's fucking amazing.
That sounds cute.
So yeah, those are my games that have like the Halloween spirit but aren't too scary. So yeah, anyone else have anything else?
No, I think I named all my really good games that are like semi-scary.
Oh yeah, the last one the last one on my mental list that I want to talk about, since they just released a demo for it, and full disclosure, I did back the Kickstarter when it first launched. We got, hold on, let me see if I'm typing it properly. We got Romancylvania by the Deep End Games, and which is drastically different from the first game they made. The studio is headed by like Bill Gardner, who is originally like part of like the big studios and like worked on BioShock Infinite. And then he and his wife had their own studio. And the first game, which I can't believe I forgot, because it was the first like ever like scary game I ever played. You play it Perception. You play as a blind woman who keeps having recurring dreams about a spooky mansion. So she goes to the spooky mansion to find out what is with all the spooky dreams she's having. And obviously, because it's a spooky mansion, nothing is as it seems. And I mean, it's pretty neat. You use like I don't know, like because the protagonist is like blind, you navigate by like hitting stuff with your cane and like echolocation-y stuff, but the shtick of the game, which I thought was pretty clever, is that the spooky monster what's hunting you, or maybe it isn't, who knows, because it's called perception, like is attracted to sound, so you have to balance like having to figure out where to go with, if you make too much noise, the scary thing will come and get you. And like, yeah, that's a good one if you want like a spooky thrill. But if you want something that's the exact opposite, we got Romancylvania, because I've known the two of you. I bet I've known the two of you long enough to know that if you watch Castlevania on Netflix, you're like, why can't I date the monster people?
Yep, that is true.
So yeah, it's like a combination of like a Metroidvania, like the Castlevania games of old, and a dating simulator, where you play as Drac, and in between like exploring like the weird spooky environment, Castlevania style, like actual typical Castlevania gameplay, all that good stuff. It's also a dating simulator where Drac is just trying to find love. And just yep, you can play as male, female, Drac, same sex, like romance options. And like if you like, just what if like typical horror movie monsters are like hot, or like even hotter,
They are
like
hot though. I mean, they're hot always. That's just
like
how it is.
saucy Medusa, buxom pumpkin scarecrow lady. I don't know, like some sort of undead pirate man who's got like Frankenstein together from different chunks of people's bodies. A succubus. You know where that's going. Like a mummy from Mummy Times. A werewolf for the furry people. I don't.
Werewolf for the furry people.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't.
What is
I
this
think
game called again? Because it's starting to sound up my alley.
Romancylvania, and they just released a demo on Steam. I don't know, maybe like a sea monster for people who played Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. You know what part I'm talking about.
Shark
And
boyfriend, shark boyfriend.
Yep. So, like I donated to the Kickstarter because it just looked like something I wanted. But yeah, the demo's available. They're like, like just getting started. And yeah, it's just like, and the developer said that the ratio of exploring them, having like Symphony of the Night type gameplay, and being on a dating show trying to find that special spooky someone can be like as lopsided as you want. And I mean, yeah, it looks like right up my alley. And yeah, if you want saucy Halloween fun, I'd recommend that. And that's about all I have to think of in my brain. Yeah. Either of you got anything else?
Grams?
Nope, I'm good.
I mean, all right then. So.
Well, wait. Okay, I have a question. What is
yeah.
everybody gonna be for? What is everybody going to be for Halloween?
I do not have, since it would take too long to actually order a costume. I mean, if it wasn't like the week before Halloween, I'd probably go about like ordering the costume, and well, maybe next year at a convention when it's finally safe to go to conventions, I'll dress up as everyone's favorite childhood friend, Najime Osuna from Komi Can't Communicate.
Yes.
Has, replaced any binary they may or may not have had with crime, if you've watched the show. But I guess, since I still have the shirt and the notebook, I guess I'll just go the standard of Steve from Blue's Clues. And if I can find a raincoat, like a Columbo-looking raincoat, by by next week, I can go as Steve as he is now, because in when the current series of Blue's Clues premiered, it's revealed that after Steve left and went to college, he became a private eye. Like, within the context of the show, that's an actual thing. The
God, that's
Blueprint,
amazing.
the Blueprint Detective Agency. The Blue's Clues movie is coming out next month on Paramount Plus, and I'm legitimately excited. Anyway, but yeah, I got the trademark aggressively green striped shirt, the handy dandy notebook, and some brown looking pants. So that's it's standard, but it works. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Or Big Debbie again, my other bog standard.
What about you, Grems?
Oh, I don't really have any plans for Halloween.
Oh, that's still movies. Any movies you're gonna watch? Anything spooky you're gonna do?
I might watch some scary movies, but
Cool.
no parties or anything like that.
Yeah. I'm gonna
That's fair.
I'm gonna see how scary Neil Gaiman's Coraline is in movie form. My guess is very. And also gonna look forward to my annual tradition of watching Nicolas Cage beat the shit out of some animatronics.
Yes.
I love that movie. So yeah, I guess we can start wrapping up. So I would like to thank, the duck and the transmask duck for joining me. And, just, I guess, maybe apologize to Grems for forcing her to, guess whether something is Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Dark Souls. And, yeah, for some reason, if anyone's actually watching this, and who knows, I certainly don't, be sure to like and subscribe, do all that good stuff. And when I'm not rambling at one or more people I rope into this, I'm interviewing indie developers, YouTubers, streamers. If I might shamelessly promote, and I will, because it's my show. Yeah. And the one of the most recent interviews with Daniel Dockery, who good friend of the other show what I do, and we talked about his contribution to literature, which is Monster Kids: How Pokemon Taught a Generation to Catch 'Em All, which details the 4-year span of time that can only be described as Pokemania, and how Pokemon became, the global phenomenon that we'll be soon enjoying the next installment of. And this is not an ad, but if anyone ever does want to pay me to do advertisements, I will sell out. If you want some Pokemon history goodness, but you prefer audiobooks, Daniel Dockery, through a miracle of miracles, got, Veronica Taylor to do the audiobook version of it on Audible. The original Ash Ketchum. The original boy of very little brain, who is God, who is a horse's chosen child.
I love that.
So, yeah. So, is there anything the two of you want to shamelessly plug before we sign off?
Hmm.
You can find me on twitter.com/gremlinzrus. I mainly shitpost and or promote Strem. I talk about video games and D&D and stuff like that. And then on Twitch, I stream the video games and occasionally do cursed art. Not intentionally. It just happens to end up cursed. That's really all I got. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Cool.
Yes.
You can find me on Twitter at Carolyn, capital CAROLYN, in fandom. Fandom is capitalized with an F. You can also find me on Instagram at Carolyn's Geek Out. Just Carolyn, CAROLYNS. Geek Out is all one word and it's capitalized. Things I'm currently working on. Right now, I have been off the Twitter sphere for a bit. I'm on a podcast with DCTV Podcast, Sandman_podcast. We have been recapping Neil Gaiman's Sandman on Netflix. And until we get that season 2 renewal, which is coming, we're going to be doing a monthly dealing with comics and exploring Sandman's themes podcast, since we've been recording every other Monday and then just kind of trying to push them out as quickly as possible. Other than that, you can find me on Twitter talking about Marvel, Disney properties, probably haunted animatronics of some sort, as well as creepy theme park lore, and basically shilling myself out as a freelance writer and journalist, as well as being focused on my daily job working for a giant capitalist mouse. So yeah.
Okay, and if you listen to hear my words and you want to hear me you want to know what it's like when I obsessively hyper focus on a topic, you can go on the podcast platform of your choice, where I host along with my friend Tom. Gotta recap them all, where God is a horse, so nothing is off limits. Where Tom and I have recently begun our journey into the Johto region. And oh boy, we're gonna be at that one for a while. Because if you thought it took us a long time to cover the Kanto arc, oh boy, we got over 150 episodes, 3 movies, a bunch of adorable shorts, and yeah, just look up Gotta Recap 'em All, and you can find me on the Twitters at tgorman83, where I either promote this show, promote my other show, or just constantly tag Carolyn and other friends with Pokemon memes, or just tell people what sort of fictional character they would be like. So, yeah, this has been Gotta Recap 'em All, and as I say at the end of every show, have a gourd day, everyone.
Bye.
Ma.